All right, the ticker is HNT. This is Helium. I'm going to be doing this on the daily just to kind of go over where I think everything's going. There's actually a lot going on with this chart. There's a lot of things that I like, but what I'm going to do is give this a little perspective to show you where exactly we're zoomed into right now. I'm going to bring back the linear chart, and this is going to show a little bit more of where helium was. I'm sure a lot of you people know where this was in 2020 and where this ended up, right? And that is a massive move. You basically 50x plus. Um, but a loss like every other coin in that era, it came back down. You saw the accumulation phase, and if you can follow my cursor, I'm just kind of showing this on the rudimentary so that we can get back to where we are. And this is where the chart begins that we're about to talk about. Now, this must have been a long hold in this bear market while this was bottoming and accumulating. But what you see is this kind of built a ledge right up there, right? And it's good what you see. I also see this huge, gigantic rounding like you see on um, other charts at that time frame for 2017 on coins. So what we see here, honestly, is a huge, to me, ascending triangle, and it shows a lot of health. And this goes onto some other, like I said, OGs of this time. You're seeing higher highs here built. Now this must be brutal because if I took out this diagonal trend line, um, what you would actually look at is a gigantic range that would, knock your socks off because this thing's going from basically $3 all the way up to $10, back to $3, back to 10. And if you really understood how to trade this, there's a lot of people that made a ton of money in this. But you got to give it a little bit of perspective also, because if you would look at this, you would think that there's not much going on here. It's just a big horizontal range, right? And it's not. So what I'm going to do is add back that diagonal trend line just to show there's a little bit of progression made. I'm going to even bring it up a little bit higher, boom. But just to give us a little bit of context. Now, to bring it down, this is the macro. This is over a year of what we're seeing right now, and it's making little baby steps on its way up. And if you remember this chart, again, this is starting to round up, and you can see it a little bit more sometimes when it's on a linear. That's why I'm bringing back to show you. But you can see right here where it's starting to make its move up in that J pattern. That's what you're really looking for. That's what a lot of these coins are looking for, in my opinion. I'm going to bring this down to the 4 hour really quick, and then I'm going to throw some Bollinger Bands on here just so we can see what we're looking at for right now. So really, if you want my micro opinion, it's looking like to me, there's another little baby range that's been made here, right? You can kind of see it in between the $5 and the $8 mark. It did bust out to that 10, but again, that's a huge rejection point that's been rejected a couple times in the past. So that's going to be some heavy resistance. And of course, if you knew how to trade this, you would have probably took some profits there, expecting, or at least looking to see what this was going to do at that point. But if you're really going down to try to figure out what this is doing on the micro, you could throw that as a trend line. You could throw this as a trend line. So we'll say this is like the diagonal trends that we're looking at. We could even kind of make this was a little fallen wedge, breakout. You could pull this up here if you wanted to and show the little squeeze. I mean, look, even if you wanted to extend that, you could make an argument for why this is bouncing where it is. But what typically, if this was considered a falling wedge of some sort, no matter how you draw it, the breakout of this would be to the top of that falling wedge, which would bring us back to that $10 range that we're talking about. And my guess is this is probably a little bit more what we're looking at. What I'm going to do is throw in some Bollinger Bands. And when I put these on, you're going to give us a little bit better context of where we are. To see where the next move is. Yeah, so on the 4 hour Bollinger Bands, you're seeing basically that this is touching off of the bottom Bollinger Band and trying to find some support, and this is going to go along with our horizontal support that we have. So what we're seeing is this is just playing ping pong with the Bollinger Bands, right? If you can see in that median 20-day moving average that really is acting as some resistance and then going as some support to give it some extra oomph. Right now we're under that 20-day moving average and we're pressing up against the bottom of that Bollinger Band. What I'm guessing is this horizontal resistance in the bottom of this Bollinger Band is going to start acting as like a little spring and keep this rounding up going, and it's eventually going to break out of this falling wedge, and it's going to start making its way back to that $10 mark. But that's what I see. This is also going to depend on Bitcoin, because Bitcoin could really go either way right now. It's looking weak in some areas, in my opinion. So you definitely want to keep an eye out on Bitcoin. But in the negative side of this, let me just show, because I want to show both sides. One, falling wedge. I think this could possibly start stair-stepping its way back up to the $10 mark. Or two, if Bitcoin keeps going down, if it breaks below 90 and retests it as resistance, I could see where this could start leaking down, where this could, the lowest I would say would be like 466. If this did go to this diagonal resistance, this would be a killer buy opportunity for a ton of people who weren't in this. So I mean, $4.66 makes sense to me. Literally, if this did, and that was the Bitcoin scenario, if Bitcoin finds a little rebound action, for that matter, and starts pulling the markets with it, I could see where this could be a really good move from $5.50 to $10 at least. Overall, really, I'm going to go back to the daily. What you're looking for on this is to break some of these barriers, right? You've been in this years-long kind of range, years-long kind of ascending triangle, which is a bullish pattern. But my guess is, if I really were going to say what I thought this was going to do, if Bitcoin doesn't dump and Bitcoin kind of does its way, I think this is going to kind of do one of these things, right? And squiggle on its way up here and start finding. That's what I really think is going to happen. If that doesn't and Bitcoin decides to take a little poo-poo, I think that there's a chance that this could fill out the falling wedge, and maybe try to find some support around the $4.70 mark. And then again, this is another ascending triangle that I think it would start popping up. I don't think the sky's falling. I think this is still a good trade. I just think there's a couple micro things you could look at if you wanted to DCA in on this or something like that. Otherwise, I'd say just hang on, because this is going to keep rounding, and it's going to be one of those J patterns, and it's going to be another one that flies at some point. You're really looking for that $10 mark to break. Once the $10 mark breaks, the target breaks, this is going to go up, retest, and I mean, this is going to hit $20 very quickly, in my opinion. And let me go back to so I can show you the overall. But my opinion, $20, if you can see why right here where my cursor is, that would be the next barrier. But you're still waiting for that $10 mark to break. But the 10, then it goes to 20 rather quickly, in my opinion. And that's on helium. And there you go. That's my TA on this. I hope you guys are well. If you need anything, DM, and like, subscribe.